What we're going to do is, this is how we're flowing through the data, right? We're going to do a post, and these are some details you're going to have to use when you push back to the Manychat API. I know what you're saying. You didn't sign up for coding, you didn't sign up for JSON, you didn't sign up for all these codes and these header records. You're not a technical person. Neither am I. I just understand something, and this is what you're going to need to understand in order to have an edge. These tools talk over the web. The way they talk over the web is via APIs. They often use something called JSON. So throughout this entire tutorial, throughout this entire course, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to do in order to make these things happen when it gets to these technical pieces. And I'm going to just jump in with vignettes just like this. Now, there's a whole mini course that talks about some of the specific really cool things you can do with some of these dynamic response blocks. It was an upsell with this course, but regardless of whether you got that or not, I am going to talk about the narrow application that I am providing, in the context of what I'm showing you to make sure that you have all the tools in place to do it. The next thing we need to do is we need to authenticate it with something called this authentication bearer key and value. The key is the authentication. We need to write in the word authentication. Then we need to type in bearer, a space, and then we need to put in the API token from Manychat. That lets Manychat know that when it hits that URL to go to this api.manychat to send content, it's looking for this particular bot, and it's going to send messages back to Manychat. We first have to define the web address for the API that accepts messages back from Integromat into Manychat, which is the URL that we're showing right here. So what we're doing here is we are telling Integromat that they need to wait for Manychat to send it data to validate that the connection between Integromat and Manychat and Integromat is solid. So in order to do this, we're going to use the external request. So here, what we're doing is we're using this dynamic response. And what the dynamic response is doing, it is taking information from Manychat and sending it to Integromat. The only way we can get it to Integromat is to set up this webhook. Webhook is basically saying that as soon as this event is triggered, I'm going to send data. And that's versus having something checking every 30 minutes, every 20 seconds, every one hour, anything like that. So as soon as that bot gets to this certain point, it's going to fire off this dynamic event, which what we're defining this dynamic event is something that's going to take all the subscriber data, including every custom user field that you've defined, and sending it over to Integromat. And Integromat's going to use that in order to process your requests throughout its sequence. The other thing that you need to understand is the fact that we need to test this one time so Integromat knows what it has in terms of what structure of data you're sending it across. So we're going to have to test it first. So you're going to walk through that process with me, and that's how that works. So we're going to take that, we're going to copy the address to the clipboard from Integromat. We're going to go back into Manychat. We're going to make sure it's a post action. We're going to go navigate to body, make sure we're going to add the full subscriber data. We're going to click out of that, and then we're going to go test the request. It may or may not go all the way through, but boom, just because we're doing some activities in there that it doesn't know what we're doing yet. But if it's green in Integromat, that means it successfully determined the data structure. What does that mean? It now has initially pushed over all of the subscriber information for anyone that's in the bot. It's pushed it over so it now can be read and used in our select row statement. Remember our columns, we're looking for a day of the week. That's all one word. So day of the week equals, all right, day of the week. Where's our custom user field? Day of the week. I always put this in quotes just in case there's an issue with the space and it's not a value. Manychat needs it to be, JSON needs it to be covered in quotes. So now, since we didn't save our HTTP for last time, we're going to quickly go through. We're going to make it a post action. We're going to push that API. It's going to be a JSON application. We're going to go update our header via the advanced content. We put in our authorization, and then we're going to put our bearer information and our token in. And again, this is just to authorize Manychat and Integromat now have an authorized handshake back and forth. So we put that in, and now I've copied some JSON code, the request content that's going to happen back to Manychat to send us a message, right? So we're going to do the request content. I'm going to do a placeholder there really quickly because I found a problem. I realized that on Friday we are closed. I decided to do this at the last minute because I wanted to show you how Integromat can work and how sometimes it's better to have a couple different options as we walk through things. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to I'm going to duplicate or clone this, and I'm going to give Integromat a chance to read data. If the data has certain characteristics, it's going to go down one path, and if not, it'll go down the next. So our label is going to be if closed. If, when it looks in the opening closing, if it sees closed, it's going to take it up this path. And if opening closing does not equal closed, it's going to go down the other path. It's going to give us a lot more flexibility around the open hours, and it's going to give us a chance to put something nice in conversational in the response back to the user if they're closed. Okay, we're going to save this. Always save in Integromat. All right, so now we have this placeholder content. The way that Manychat and Integromat and most web-based API tools talk to one another is via something called JSON. That's JavaScript object notation. We are not programming in JavaScript. We don't need to understand it. To me, for the most part, it's wah, 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 wah. However, we need to understand that that is how these two tools talk to one another. So we were able to put together a structured piece of JSON messaging that has information that we need to send back to Manychat, and we provided it for you. And you can see the two areas that we're filling in, for the most part, are the messenger ID, that's basically the user that we're going to send the message back to, and the data that we want to send back in the text. So we talk about the type of message we're sending back. It's going to be a text message, and then what the text is going to be. In this case, what we're doing is we're providing a specific piece of data that we're pulling from our Google spreadsheet, and we're providing information about the messenger ID. We just do variations based upon which one of the branches of our Integromat scenario that we're sending back based upon what our user asked up front. And then we're going to say we are closed on that day of the week. Okay? And that's the message we're going to send back to them. Here, we're going to paste our other version of content. It's going to come back with that content. Get that all there, so moves through this process like that. See if we're pulling the right things. It's always good to measure twice and cut once. day of the week equals that. Yes, you got to click that because every once in a while if it doesn't come up with something and you want it to go to one of your default replies, you need it to continue past the select statement. We're going to save that. And if we're lucky, we'll get to troubleshoot something. Actually hope for a mistake sometimes. So we're going to take this live. Now, let's go see what we can do on the good end of things. Go to our flow. We've set up a training folder and we've got our day of the week flow. So we're going to go try to make it happen. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to direct someone in Dialogflow to this particular Manychat flow. But what we're doing is if someone responds to our Dialogflow intent, instead of giving them a text response, we're going to give them a custom payload. And that custom payload is going to direct us to this particular flow. Once that flow is hit, it will trigger the external flow. Now, the name of the flow is this data that includes content in it. And that's the name of the flow that we'll be sending it to. So if you can look at it right there, when that answer is provided, that custom payload is going to send them to that particular flow that we've set up with our external action to go call Integromat to send back a result depending on what day of the week they choose to let them know whether or not the restaurant is open or closed. So that's the flow we're going for. I'm going to publish that. Now let's go into the bot. What are the hours on Friday? And we're expecting it to tell us that it's closed on Friday. So let me try another one. There it is. We are closed on Friday. What are the hours on Sunday? Let's see what response we get back. On Sunday, our hours are between 1 and 4. And we can use all these different sort of ways to phrase the question, but it's still going to give us the answers we're looking for. But if I try it like this, I'm looking for these damn hours. We didn't train it for these damn hours, but let's see how it responds.
So there you have it. That is just a preview lesson from our course on using Manychat with Janis and Dialogflow. If you're interested in early access to the course, join our private Facebook group to be among the first to be notified. We're actually looking for a few beta testers for our course. If you're interested, you'll just be asked 4 questions about your work as a bot builder, and in return, you'll get beta access to our course.